A Beacon in the Dark by Noha Ijiachi. Chapter 15. Blood all over his hands. Hey, Midoriya, what's with that face? Izuku and Kirishima are waiting for their turn to go in the afternoon exercise after lunch, during which the silence had been filled mostly by Ida, Yaoyorozu, and Izuku discussing the intricacies of the newest discovery about himself. Uraraka and Todoroki strangely silent and distracted. It was time for yet another afternoon exercise. Aizawa-sensei explained that the focus of today's exercise would be teamwork and communication, dividing them in pairs. He ended up with Kirishima, but as they waited their turn, Izuku had been internally debating if he should maybe sit this one out, nervously playing with his cane. "Oh, sorry," he replied to Kirishima after some seconds of silence. "It's just, I can't use my quirk today, so I'm afraid I might be not very useful for you in this exercise. I should probably go tell Sensei to pair you with someone else." "Midoriya, wait!" Kirishima stopped him, a hand on his shoulder. "The point is teamwork and communication, right? We can still do that." "But you won't be useless," Kirishima interrupts him, his voice short and steady. "Come on, we'll find a way." Izuku must be still showing sign of doubts, since Kirishima added, "And even if it doesn't go well, it's not the end of the world, dude. It's called exercise for a reason." "Well, I guess," Izuku finally conceded. Kirishima answered with a gentle little fist against his shoulder, probably grinning at him. When their turn came, they were almost the last ones to go. The door they were waiting in front of opened. "Your mission is to search for a blue box, retrieve it, and bring it safely to the exit in the least amount of time possible," came Aizawa-sensei's voice from some speakers on the ceiling. "The way you go at it is your choice." Izuku took a deep breath. "Okay, Kirishima, what do we have in front of us?" "It looks like a deposit. High ceiling." Kirishima immediately started to describe. "Big containers, probably very labyrinthic. It's hard to tell from this entrance. There's a sort of overpass hanging from the ceiling and a ladder going up to it, but I doubt this box we're searching for is just up there. We must search between the containers." There's a beat of silence as they think what they should do, and then Kirishima says, "If we both go in this maze, it'll take us forever. I can go up there, see if I can find this box, and guide you there from above." Izuku blinks. "Are you sure?" "Yeah, man. Get ready, I'm gonna climb up." Izuku heard the steps and then metallic sounds as Kirishima climbed up this overpass, probably made of metal grates going by the noise. "I see it," Kirishima says from the little radio in his ear after a few instants. "Okay, get ready, Midoriya. Advance forward from your position and take a left when I tell you to." Izuku steels himself. He has to trust Kirishima. If he walks, he would waste too much time. Gripping his cane tightly, Izuku carries it, pointing it a bit forward, just so he would at least not crash face first into something in front of him, and then starts running. "Okay, turn. Perfect. Take a right. Now. Okay, listen up. There are these robots patrolling. I'll guide you to avoid them." Somehow it's working. Kirishima is concise and precise, guiding him without a trace of doubt in his voice. Izuku keeps running, his heart beating madly, a strange feeling of giddiness bubbling up in his throat. Kirishima steps on the metal, following him from above. "Midoriya, surprise baddie coming. It's one of the robots. I'd say as tall as you. Looks pretty light. Pretty sure you can knock it down easily. It's defending the only way to the box, coming from your right. The next corner is just 2 meters in front of you. Now!" Izuku hears the horror of metal, and without thinking too much, he launches his cane in the air vertically and charges. It doesn't take much to down the lithe robot. Izuku hits with his palm, pushing it backwards, and a couple of fast kicks are enough to send it crashing to the floor. He catches his cane on the way back before it can even hit the floor. "Yeah!" Kirishima laughs in his ear enthusiastically, the sound of grates over his head suggesting his partner probably jumped in the air. "For holy sake! You're almost there. Keep your right. The box is just at the next intersection." Unable to help himself, Izuku let out a little laugh, charging forward. Kirishima tells him to stop right as he's in front of the box, and when Izuku kneels, palming down, he immediately meets the object. Make a 180 and then take the first left. The exit is real close, and there's a ladder for me right here, so I'll meet you in a sec. Kirishima says before Izuku can hear his steps getting a bit further. When they meet at the point Kirishima described, his partner gives him an energetic pet, guiding him the rest of the way to the exit with a firm hand on his shoulder. They are stopped by some more of the robots, and Izuku gives Kirishima the honor with a nod and a smile, sure that his energetic classmate can't wait to punch something. A bell sounds over their head when they step over the exit. Aizawa-sensei's voice back from the speaker. Good job, you two. Next time. I told you we could do it! Kirishima sounds just as giddy as Izuku feels. Man, you need to tone down the coolness. You are making us all look bad. When you caught your cane midair, that was manly. Izuku laughs heartily, his arms around the box, his cane folded hanging from his wrist. I couldn't have taken a single step without you. Your guidance was impeccable. I'll stop it now. You'll make me blush. Kirishima replies with a purposefully exaggerated shy tone, lightly pushing him playfully. Let's go, I'm sure the others can't wait to swoon all over you. Izuku sputters and laughs again as Kirishima's hand goes back on his shoulder, guiding him down the corridor to go meet up with the rest of the class. And to think you didn't even want to try! Kirishima says. Izuku is sure he's probably shaking his head, exasperated. Say, Midoriya! I actually have something I wanted to ask you. Yes? It's... You and Bakugo. A moment of hesitation. You guys have, like, history. The way Kirishima stresses the word, it's pretty telling. A gentle way to say, you guys' relationship is a castle of cards missing some key support barely kept together with spit. Kirishima, if you are scared I might get offended if you make friends with Kacchan, you don't need to. Izuku replies evenly because sometimes even he doesn't need an empathic quirk to get people. He feels Kirishima tense a bit at his side and then relax. Gee, am I that transparent? He replies, a smile in his voice. I just noticed you spend a lot of time with him. Izuku shrugs. When Kirishima doesn't reply, he continues. I'm serious. Listen, I know Kacchan doesn't like me, and probably never will. That's fine. I can still be happy for him if he makes some friends of his own. It's just... I like him, but I don't like some things he does. And I told him that multiple times. Kirishima says, his voice turning a bit serious. And I also like you too, and I don't want to hurt anyone, you know? Izuku turns to his daily partner, smiling. I won't be hurt, I promise. So don't worry. Thanks, man, you're the best! Kirishima replies with passion, just as another door swooshes open right in front of them, rejoining them to the rest of the class. Midoriya, that was so cool! Ashito is already in their faces, excited. You really like hand-to-hand techniques, Ashito, don't you? Izuku replies, recalling some other comments the girl made in the past. Heck yeah, I do! He can hear the giant grin in her voice. But that was, like, seriously cool. I think Baraka and Todoroki were really about to swoon for a minute there. I'll take this. Aizawa-sensei interrupted, taking the box away from Izuku's arms. Go join the rest of the group now, you overexcited teenagers. His voice was a mix of fondness and exasperation. They obeyed, Ashito answering with a cheerful, Yes, sensei! And Izuku didn't have time to really let her words sink in and ponder over for what reason would Todoroki and Baraka, of all people, swoon over anyone, let alone him, before he was dragged into a lively discussion about his and Kirishima's performances. Wait, aren't you? The new voice says just after Miki introduced them to Izuku. Yes, you're that Midoriya! I saw you at UA Sports Festival! Izuku still isn't used to people recognizing him randomly during his life hours outside of UA. Maybe he never will. They were meeting in a fast food restaurant, nothing big. Miki had called him the evening prior, asking him if he was free for the weekend. Tomorrow, yes. On Sunday, I have something planned. Speaking of which, want to come to the mall with me? Pass, Miki replied. Got a ton of homework to do. But if you're free tomorrow, want to meet for lunch? There's someone I want to introduce to you. Yeah, lunch sounds fine. Who do you want to introduce to me? He asked, perplexed. It's a guy. I like him a lot, she answered, hesitating a bit. Well, you are my best friend, and I never told you about him because I wasn't sure of my feelings yet. But it'd be nice if you could meet him. Of course, he replied, a small smile on his lips. Where do you want to meet? So here they were. Nothing pretentious, just grabbing a greasy lunch, being introduced to Miki's, maybe not really, don't ask for now, Midoriya, boyfriend. Haruo Hayanari, that was his name, shook Izuku's hand before recognition dawned in his light and blurted out that phrase. Izuku turned his quirk back on that morning, finally. He would make sure to not overdo it and take pauses, but feeling the familiar presence of the lights around him had been very comforting, especially considering how demanding his previous radar-off day at school had been. Yeah, that's me, he replies, embarrassed, almost intimidated when he felt a caress of admiration coming from the boy. Haruno is kind of a little hero nerd. Not at your level, but he's pretty into it. Miki snickers. I know it'd go insane when you two would meet. Miki-chan, you didn't tell me your best friend is a hero in the making. How could you? Haruo replied in a fake dramatic tone, making her laugh. Then her phone starts ringing. Oh, it's Mom. I have to take this. I'll be right back. You two can talk in the meantime. She steps away, leaving them with their trays of food and a little embarrassed silence. You must think I'm a bit silly, Haruo starts, a hesitant note in his voice. Well, Miki-chan is right. I do like heroes, and you were pretty sick during the festival. It's cool that you were friends with her. Not silly at all, Izuku replies with a smile. Some of our teachers are heroes that I totally fan-stalked long before I started high school. It's been months at this point, and I still kind of get the cold sweats talking with them. At that, Haruo splutters a little laugh. You're really nice. Most people think that UA's students are kind of arrogant, but it's cool to say it's not true. I don't know. I can think of some examples of arrogance, Izuku replies, pensive. Besides, if I was to do that whole best friend threatening you to treat her well or else routine, you might change your mind. God, no, please don't. Haruo replies, a smile in his voice. You are probably strong enough that you could fold me like an origami and not break a sweat. I'll be good to Miki-chan, I promise. You better be, Izuku replies with no real bite in his voice, pointing a fry towards Haruo, making him chuckle. Haruo takes a sip of his drink, his voice sounding a bit dreamy when he speaks again. Besides, I would never hurt Miki-chan. She's just so... you know. The way his light felt, Izuku felt the different kind of affections coming from all sorts of people, but he never felt something quite like this before. He wasn't exactly a leading expert in romantic relationships. That's what spending a good chunk of your formative years blind and lonely does to you, he guesses. But if Izuku had to imagine how love would feel, it probably would feel the way Haruo was feeling now. Izuku was nothing but an accidental witness of that, but it still seemed pretty nice. To be honest, I don't really know, but you sound really smitten, Izuku says with a chuckle. How have you met? Classmates? At the first aid course, actually. I was there for personal reasons. She helped me a lot with some stuff I was going through. I swear she's an angel. A pause. Then he adds with a chuckle. A punk rock angel. Izuku feels a bit of melancholy washing over him as he smiles. I know what you mean. She really is. A little silence falls over them, promptly interrupted by Miki coming back. Mom wanted me to pick something up from the grocery store on the way back, but she ended up giving me a giant list. She laughs, sliding back into her seat.
So what's up?
I was just asking Haru how you two met. Izuku filled her in. Speaking of which, how's the course going? In school? We didn't really have much time to talk lately. Because I've kind of gone insane for a few days there, but I don't think I'm going to tell you that. Izuku sat back and listened to the two talk animatedly about their course and all sorts of things, almost not intervening at all. After all, Izuku was the protagonist of his own life, just as much as Miki was to hers. She deserved an audience every now and then, at the very least.
Hey man, what up?
Izuku was startled out of his concentration, fingers going still on the braille display when the text came in. The lunch went well, and Izuku parted ways with Miki and Haru not long after, sensing that the two wanted to spend some time alone. He was fine with it. He could catch up with some homework in the afternoon and be able to spend the whole day with his classmates at the mall tomorrow. Then Miki's text came in during the evening. Hey! So, did I make a good impression on your totally not boyfriend?
Don't tease me, Midoriya. But yes, maybe even too good. Like, stop being so nice. Haru was super pumped to meet you, and he couldn't stop commenting on how chill you were.
LOL. I'm glad. He seems like a nice guy. But if he treats you bad, you know who to call.
Spare me, as if I need your help to defend myself, Mr. Hero. Anyhow, I'm glad I saw you today. You kind of disappeared lately, and I was worried.
That stopped Izuku in his tracks. Of course she was. Man, he was a really bad friend. Carefully, he composed his response. He felt terrible about lying to her, but he just didn't have it in him to say, sorry, I kind of overloaded on emotions and went up crazy for a bit, don't mind me. He knew she would worry herself sick if he did. I'm sorry. A lot of stuff to do at the end of term exams. I'm glad we got to meet today, too. I miss being with you every day. Speaking on the phone is not the same thing.
I miss you too, but not much we can do about that, I'm afraid. Are you going with your classmates at the mall tomorrow? You could use the occasion to score some.
Miki!
Boo, you're boring. Come on, there must be someone you like in your class.
There's no one! Besides, I'm kind of too busy trying not to die to think about romance here.
Excuses. You should ask All Might for pointers. I bet the man has seen plenty of action through his life, if you know what I mean.
Here it was again, the sing in his chest that made him feel like his heart was about to shatter all over. Izuku forced himself to take a deep breath. Calm down. Act normally. First of all, gross. I don't need to think about him getting some. Secondly, I'm fine, okay? I know you mean well, but I'm really not interested in a relationship for the moment.
You're always so serious, Izuku. Relax. Anyhow, if you ever realize you're getting the hots for one of your almost all very hot, frankly, classmates, you know you can tell me.
You don't realize I have no idea how hot my classmates are, right?
I guess not. I hope you get a crush on the one with the bird head. That would be fun.
The one with the what? The day was sweltering as they walked into the crowded mall. Ochako fanned herself with her hand, looking around. The place was brimming with people, vendors calling out to them as they noticed the rather peculiar physiques of Ida and Shoji. Most of her classmates that came to the appointment were chatting between themselves, talking about the different things they needed to purchase for the summer boot camp that was to come. Midoriya, at her left, looked a bit pale, massaging his forehead with a hand. Are you okay? She asks carefully. He turns with a little smile. It's nothing, it's just that this place is packed, he says with a little sigh. I mean, I've been in crowded places ever since I discovered my quirk, but this is definitely something else. Right. Is quirk. Ochako sighs internally. She had time to reflect upon it yesterday and came to absolutely no certain conclusion. She had no idea what Midoriya could be possibly thinking of her. Discovering that he was an empath had been so utterly embarrassing. And yet Midoriya seemed to act as he always did, nice and friendly, and apparently not put off by Ochako's feelings at all. The conclusions she came to were two. 1. Midoriya wasn't interested in something more with her and had very kindly decided to ignore her obvious crush, deciding to pursue just a normal friendship. 2. Midoriya had no idea she had a crush on him. That second idea seemed ludicrous at first. How could someone that felt other people's feelings not realize that? But then she recalled what Miki said about how lonely he had been until he made friends with Miki, how he never really had anyone else in his life until he started at UA. And suddenly the idea didn't seem ludicrous anymore. Maybe Midoriya hadn't realized, because Midoriya never felt those sorts of feelings before. What if that was the case? Ochako still didn't want to pursue anything more with him. But if Midoriya was to realize how she felt, it might put a damper on their friendship, and Ochako definitely did not want that. She rushes to say, "I totally got lost in thought. Where are the others?" "They all left to do their own thing." Midoriya shrugs with a small smile. "We have an appointment at the food court in an hour and a half. Did you have to pick up something specific?" "Not much, I just wanted to get some bug repellent for the boot camp. You?" "I needed to go pick up some new wrist weights. I guess there's no need to split up if we just have to do..." "I guess not." She sighs internally, surrendering to her upcoming demise caused by Midoriya.
"I have the cutest face in the world and the hottest bat on the planet." Izuku,
his curly hair tickling her forehead, his breath caressing her cheek.
"Mayday!
Attacked of a man named Naomasa Tsukauchi. Call him immediately. Tell him that Shigaraki is here." Pure fear immediately claws at her throat as she makes a choked sound, Midoriya pushing the phone in her hand insistently. "No, shh! Don't talk!" She dares to turn her eyes to him a bit. He's pale as a ghost, sweat rolling down his face, his eyes pointing forward with a determined expression. "Enter into the shop closer to you. Act normally. Call Tsukauchi and tell him that. Shigaraki's following us. I'll try to lead him away from the crowd." "Izuku!" she whispers, tears stinging in her eyes. "You can't! I'm the only one that can keep tabs on him at all times without actually looking at him and making him notice that we noticed," Midoriya replies, biting down his lower lip. "If he goes on a rampage here, I cannot imagine how many people would die." "But," whisper, "Izuku, this is too dangerous. You can't..." "I'm afraid I will have to count on luck for that. Now go! Hurry!" he says, ignoring her protests, a plead in his immediately to her right, feverishly searching for Tsukauchi in Midoriya's address book. Toshinori just came out a shower and put on some fresh clothes when the phone rings. Thinking nothing of Tsukauchi's name flashing on the screen, he picks up with a little, "Hey," dragging a tuft of blonde, wet hair away from his face. Tsukauchi's voice is slightly muffled, the noise of a car engine going at full speed. "Yashi Ward Shopping Mall. She told me Midoriya was going to try lead him away from the crowd. I already sent a car to your address and I'm on my way with my team. I'll see you there." Toshinori is pretty sure he just forgot how to breathe. Izuku had been walking for what felt like forever. He felt as if every sound was far muffled of one, like he was considering entering before starting to walk again. He forced turn around, don't turn around, don't turn around, don't turn around, don't turn around. He was following some meters behind, not a sign in his not light that betrayed the fact he had noticed anything amiss in Izuku's behavior as far as Izuku could tell. He had to clean blood away from it. It always happened when he expanded the radius of his radar over. The crowd started to decrease bit by bit. He only passed a couple of people as he made his way to the exit that seemed to lead to some sort of underpass that was completely empty. 10 meters through, before a voice stopped him in his tracks. Izuku stopped, feeling his lower lip tremble, sweat rolling down his face.
"Don't think I hadn't noticed what you were doing,"
Shigaraki continues.
"It took me a while to realize, I admit. You are very smart and somehow incredibly perceptive."
The jig was up. Steeling himself, Izuku turns around. What do you want? He asks, his voice far more steady than he really felt.
Just to have a chat with you.
Shigaraki answers casually, closing the distance between them. Or so he tried, as Izuku took a step back.
Oh, don't make that face now.
Shigaraki says with a little sigh.
I mean, if you don't want to.
He doesn't say that. Better not to provoke. Fine, he says instead, steel in his voice. Let's talk. He evacuated from the mall as orderly as possible. A huge crowd of curious beings kept at bay behind the police lines. The agent that drove him here guided him over the line over a series of cars behind an armored truck. Tsukauchi was there, leaning over the hood of a car with a map spread on it, talking in a radio as he alternated orders, shivering as one of the agents was keeping a comforting hand on her shoulder. Come here, you know that boy better than me. Maybe you can figure out where he could have led Shigaraki. Toshinori doesn't waste any time leaning over the map. It's a multi-layered map of the shopping mall. I already sent teams on this, and this exit. Tsukauchi explains, pointing on the map. Uraraka told us that Midoriya was planning to try lead Shigaraki away from the crowd. Or pointing, leads to a parking lot that connects directly to the highway, so I don't think he could have gone there. What's this? Toshinori asks, pointing at a little corridor signaled with a barred exit in the very back of the mall. That one's out of commission. Leads to an old, now unused bus. Midoriya can't see. Of course, you must have led him to the less trafficked exit. He immediately takes the radio to his mouth. Team Gamma! Team Omega! First floor exit section B to the left of the closed apparel shop. He orders in a bark. Toshinori, you should stay here and... Tsukauchi falls silent. Toshinori is not sure what expression he's wearing, but it must not be a good one. At least take one of the...
Who goes back to him in the end?
Shigaraki sighs.
All Might.
Trying to talk with Shigaraki is like playing hide and seek without his quirk. A minefield of false starts and traps, of little words missing and body language he cannot read. It's like trying to play chess without knowing the rules, without seeing the board.
Thank you, Midoriya,
Shigaraki says after long seconds of silence.
Our chat has been quite enlightening.
What now? Izuku thinks. Please go away, he adds, a fruitless plea. Izuku had bought as much time as he possibly could, stretching sentences and answers as long as humanly possible, leading Shigaraki in circles in his completely disconnected way of reasoning by throwing in more words and were closing to the main entrance. It was clear that as he led Shigaraki down this cul-de-sac, because, yes, it was a blind exit. Lucky him! I talk with assholes. Izuku could not stop his mouth from saying. Shigaraki laughed, finding amusing his little act of rebellion. But what now? For what he could feel from the now much, much smaller, his head hurt like a bitch, scope of his radar. So, Izuku starts because Shigaraki is silent, and that cannot be a good thing. Is your friend with the portals coming to give you a lift, or... Shigaraki chuckles.
Why, do you want to get rid of me already? I thought we were friends.
I'd rather eat shit. Seems you have found what you searched for. I don't see any reason why you should hang around anymore. This place is boring anyway.
But what if we make it less boring?
Fuck.
What if I start my new path now? My new creed? What if I leave a little message to All Might?
Fuck shit, fuck.
Letting him know? Yeah, let's start with that. Your body will make for a fine letter.
Son of a but... Izuku activates one for all.
Oh, that's new.
Shigaraki says, a broken imitation of wonder in his voice.
Last time you didn't light up like that. They make you work hard in that school, huh?
What makes you think you can beat me? Izuku asks, voice low. Last time I didn't light up, and I was still kicking your ass. Immediate irritation overcomes Shigaraki's not light.
That's not very friendly,
he says, barely hidden anger in his flat tone. We're not friends, Izuku replies through gritted teeth. I'm giving you a chance to go away unscathed. Take it or face me. Izuku knows he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. If he fights, he will get in trouble legally since he still doesn't have a license. But if he does not, well, he dies. Please fall for the bluff. Please fall for the bluff. Please fall for the bluff. Mom, where are you? Izuku's breath hitches on his throat, his head suddenly feeling dizzy with panic. There's a child behind Shigaraki not far from the exit door. Shigaraki is closer to her than Izuku is. Izuku charged! The two teams are closing in, Shikouchi at the helm. He tried to tell Toshinori to stay in the back line. Toshinori ignored him, walking right at his side. They were finally approaching the door in the ignored, badly lit corner of the mall. It was open despite the sign over it that declared the exit as out of commission. Shikouchi gave some gestures and a nod to his teams. Silent, the two groups surpassed them, their weapons pointing right in front of them as they moved silent as cats. Only 30 meters away, and suddenly they hear someone scream, "Run!" There's a choked, high-pitched yell, and then a young girl that couldn't be older than 10 suddenly rolls out of the door as if someone had launched her over the threshold. She scrambles, trying to get away with fear on her face. Young Midoriya rolls out too, not alone. He's struggling with Shigaraki in a mess of limbs, one of his hands on Shigaraki's face as he tries to push him away, the other around Shigaraki's wrist, keeping the deadly fingers only a few centimeters away from his own face. Shigaraki forces him belly up on the floor, grabbing the front of the boy's shirt with his other hand, the cloth rapidly dissolving, and Midoriya kicks him in the stomach, turning back on all fours and jumping towards the child as Shigaraki, that rapidly bounced back from the kick, does the exact same. Midoriya's slight advantage allows him to reach the child first, covering her with his own body protectively. Shigaraki arrives an instant later, his fingers sinking into the boy's back. Midoriya screams. Ochako can't stop crying. The agent near her is kind. She's keeping a hand on her shoulder, gently caressing her back with the other. She doesn't offer empty words or platitudes, just stands there, a silent promise of protection. What could have Ochako done to protect Midoriya? She felt like she had no choice. Midoriya's plan was the most sensible one. Immediately alert authorities so they could evacuate the crowd far from danger as soon as possible. Lead Shigaraki away so he could hurt no one. No one except Midoriya himself. Why did she not insist more? Why did she let him do it? Why hadn't she thought of something, anything that could help them reach the same goal without endangering Midoriya? The look in his pale eyes had been so scary, a mix of fear and determination. The look of a hero. And maybe now Midoriya will never become a hero. Maybe he's inside there somewhere, turned to dust, to a pile of flesh and blood. Another Saha bracks her. Maybe she'll never see him again. Maybe that arm on her shoulders would be the last time she ever had the chance to feel him close. She wondered where their classmates were. If they were in the crowd, asking what was going on, not having the slightest clue Midoriya might be dead as they speak. Loud voices are suddenly getting closer, sounds like someone is screaming. She looks up, her vision blurry with tears as she looks to the now empty entrance. Two teams of armored men come out running, one of them holding a crying little girl. Behind them, there's that agent Midoriya had told her to call, Shikouchi. He's yelling something she cannot hear over the cacophony. Right behind him comes a blonde, tall, thin man. Ochako had seen him before, she realizes, at the sports festival, when they went to the infirmary to see how Midoriya was doing after his battle with Todoroki. That man had been there, a silent presence. He looks pale, his emaciated features taut in an unreadable expression. Shikouchi moves a bit to the left, and a choked scream dies in her throat as her hands shoot up, covering her mouth. The blonde man is carrying Midoriya between his arms. Midoriya is white. hands feverishly grabbing at the vest the blonde man is wearing, gritting his teeth with an expression of pure pain on his face. There's blood everywhere, drenching the big jacket rolled around Midoriya, dripping down, leaving a little trail as the blonde man keeps running forward. "We need the ambulance now!" Tsukauchi is yelling furiously over the chaos. "Now! I told you via radio! Where the fuck is the ambulance?" Two paramedics pushing a stretcher run forward as the ambulance closes in. The blonde man deposits Midoriya on the stretcher, leaning on it when Midoriya refuses to let him go, screaming as he tenses on the stretcher, the paramedics uselessly trying to keep him still. "It's okay, Izuku, my boy, it's okay, you can let go." They're close enough. Ochako can hear the blonde man now as he frantically tries to comfort her classmate with a broken voice between Midoriya's choked screams of pain. He's caressing his face with frantic hands, smearing blood on Midoriya's skin. "You'll be fine, I promise. You'll be fine soon. You can let go. I'm not going anywhere, okay? I'll be right there with you. You can let go, I promise." Midoriya is racked by sobs, blood splattering on the blonde man's face. A choked, gurgling whine follows, tears that had collected on the corners of Midoriya's eyes rolling down to his temples. He tries to say, taking painful, wheezing, wet gulps of air. "Oh, Finally, he let go, fingers going slack as he loses consciousness. The paramedics immediately push the stretcher on an ambulance, the door closing as the vehicle takes off, wheels screeching. The blonde man is standing unmoving. He's covered in blood, his arms covered in blood, his hands covered in blood. He stares to where the ambulance had been only a handful of seconds prior, before falling to his knees. His face gets stained in Midoriya's blood some more when shivering thin fingers run up the skin, going to grab at his hair. A sob racks him, but no tears follow. And from the distance of our own Ochako cannot help but think that that must be the saddest sound in the world.